How can you evaluate if Christianity is even true? Where do you start? And then how should you proceed from there? In this short video, I want to help you answer these questions based on what I've learned the past 15 years teaching and writing about the Bible, Christianity, and Jesus. But before I get to those questions, I just want to say that I didn't always care about asking stuff like this. And I wish I would have started sooner. I didn't begin taking Jesus or life all that seriously until I was nearly 18 and in my last year of high school. I mastered making decent grades without learning very much. Then Jesus got my attention and my life took an unexpected turn. Truth became interesting to me. I wanted to understand how to think well, do well, be well, and live well. So I began studying history, philosophy, comparative religions, theology, apologetics, biblical exegesis, business, self-development, you name it. And to determine if Christianity is even true, I learned to treat it like I would treat other worldviews or religions. Often that means starting with its most radical claim or claims. For Christianity, that would be the resurrection of Jesus. That he died on a Friday and then on Sunday he rose from the grave with an imperishable body. The truth of Christianity rises or falls with Jesus' resurrection. One guy put it like this: if Jesus rose from the dead, you have to accept all he said. If he didn't rise from the dead, then why worry about anything he said? If Jesus rose from the dead, it changes everything. What I have found to be special about Christianity is that you can evaluate its origins, its claims, better than any other religion or worldview. Christianity is exposed, it's inviting, it's open, it stands on evidence. When Jesus' close friend Thomas heard that Jesus had risen, he refused to believe it. And then the resurrected Jesus appeared to Thomas and said, "Put your finger here. See my hands. Reach out your hand and put it in my side," where they stuck him with a spear. Jesus said, "Stop doubting and believe." John chapter 20, verse 27. Jesus gave Thomas and hundreds of others proof. And that proof is not for their sake alone, but also for ours. It's a common mistake to think Christianity is only a private thing to be sorted out in your heart between you and God. Sure, it is a private thing, and Christ must be embraced personally at the heart level. He enlightens our minds and transforms our hearts. But Christianity started in public. Jesus acted in public. Christianity rests on public truth, public teaching, and public events. Once I got caught up in the hype of a big boxing match. It was with a heavyweight fighter a few years ago, Anthony Joshua. His opponent was accused of steroid use, and he came out and said, "I know in my heart I didn't do it." Well, since he's so sincere, do we take his private, personal word for it? Or do we test him? Like with any big fight, he got tested. And the test report came out, and what did it read? Positive. Through public, verifiable evidence, there was good reason to believe that he did steroids, which disqualified him from the fight. Even if no one literally saw him purchase the steroids or put the steroids in his body, effects offered evidence that he used steroids. It's similar with the resurrection of Jesus. People today can claim they have experienced in their heart the risen Lord. And that is enough for many people to believe, but others need to take a deeper dive into more evidence. Part of my point is that evidence is available and accessible. Resurrection effects exist, and the best explanation of those effects is the cause of the resurrection. And we can approach that evidence, those effects, using the same investigative and analytical methods we use in philosophy, history, science, and law. We evaluate Christianity the same way we determine who signed the Declaration of Independence, what happened at the Battle of Yorktown, and who crafted the U.S. Constitution. No one today literally witnessed those things, but we understand them based on the words of witnesses like George Washington and James Madison, and the consequences of those events like the formation of government offices. And then any artifacts that came from them, like the Treaty of Paris, James Madison's notes, and the U.S. Constitution itself. To oversimplify it, history comes to us by way of words, outcomes, and stuff. That's how we know it. To believe anything from history requires a measure of trust. We have to judge if the witnesses are trustworthy. We have to judge if the outcomes are truly connected or if we are making a false connection and then trust it. We have to judge if our interpretation of the artifact is true, worthy of our trust. My point with this video is that Christianity is more evaluatable than any other religion or worldview. It offers many things to evaluate, but the resurrection is the place to start. History and science and philosophy and law offers loads of tools to measure a claim or a judgment. For example, I asked ChatGPT for criteria to assess historical and philosophical arguments, and immediately it returned 26 metrics. Here are some examples. Explanatory scope, which asks how much of the details can the argument successfully account for. Internal consistency asks if the points of the argument align or disagree. Simplicity asks if the argument avoids unnecessary explanation. External consistency asks if the claim aligns with other established truths not directly tied to the argument. And there are many more metrics. Now, because Jesus' resurrection is so open to scrutiny, and because the evidence for it is so compelling, I think it makes Christianity more believable than anything else. And Jesus' resurrection makes Christianity more believable than anything else because it can be evaluated more broadly and more deeply than any other religion or worldview. Christianity offers more tests than others, and it passes more tests than others pass. It was earth-shattering to me when I realized you can assess Christianity, that it is not merely a matter of the heart. As an analogy, imagine a young man in college says, "I love her with all my heart." Now, how would you determine if that's true? You don't have literal access to his heart or mind. You'd have to determine whether that's true based on evidence. How does he treat her? How does he speak to her? How much time does he spend with her? And what does he do for her? By answering those questions, you'd have a better assessment of his claim. It's similar with the resurrection of Jesus and history. Well, I hope this video inspires you to take a deeper look into the resurrection of Jesus and all the evidence that it offers. My name is Aaron Massey. Check out my channel if you want more videos like this. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.